Going live. Hello, hello, hello. Yay. And we're off. Welcome back to our Happy at Home live streams. I'm so excited to have you here today. It has been so much fun. Now, what reason is this doing for not giving me my comments? I can't see your comments. This is crazy. Thanks so much for joining me for this live stream. I have been having the best time going live with you and looking at different things that we can do to be a little happier at home these days, because we're all hanging out here and we want to make sure that we are having the most fun possible. Let's see here. Hide all scene overlays. Show the picture in picture. This would be crazy if my little thing for my comments doesn't work. That would be just terrible. So yeah, I'm really excited. We have been covering all kinds of different topics. Actually, I was talking about it yesterday with the ScrapHappy group, and it was amazing to think about how many things we've actually done so far and how many topics we've covered. And I feel like we've barely scratched the surface. So I think that, most people are feeling the same way. And I think that it's a really great way for us to connect. And so thank you. Thank you for joining me for this, because it has just been the best. And let's bring that up and bring all these things around. Let's see if I can figure this out. I thought it was hiding right behind there. Apparently not. Okay, so let's continue. Today, we are going to be talking about distressed crayons. Distressed crayons. I have had distressed crayons for quite some time. I've used them a little bit. I wouldn't say that I am the greatest distress crayon person ever, but we discovered that yesterday that I don't mind sharing things that I am not the best at, as we explored the world of Nouveau dots, and this stinking thing got totally stuck. So that was kind of hilarious. Let's see here. There's got to be a little window thing. There's got to be a window thing here. The scene, the previous scene, source, camera, overlays, no, recording, output, options. Sorry guys, I really want to be able to chat with you, and for some reason today this little window that allows, I know there's a spot to open it on my desktop. I've had that problem once before and we figured it out and I forgot. Okay, now everybody says, ooh, something new for me. Yay, Kathy. She's excited. She hasn't played with Distress Crayons. And Karina says, what? I missed that? So, yeah. Yesterday it was like comedy of errors. But we should have a rundown on what we covered yesterday. I'd like to review the little swatches with you and kind of tell you where they're at right now. So we're going to start with that. And I promised to show you the Easter Bunny thing that I had done. So we're going to visit that too. And then we're going to start playing with those crayons. So let's bring up the desktop scene that allows me to, I think, split my desk. And if I bring this down, maybe it won't be right in front of my face. So that would be okay too. Okay. So we have here the two swatches that I did yesterday. I did some on black and I did some on white paper using the Nouveau drops, and we had different kinds. So we had crystal drops, we had some crystal gloss drops, and these ones actually have almost like a pearlescent effect to them. We also had dream drops of different kinds, vintage drops, my first go around with those. Just wait. We'll do the recap on that. And then we also had glitter drops, and we had a few more of these ones here. So this is kind of what we swatched. This is what we covered. And then we talked a little bit about stickles. And yeah, so with these different drops, I did little swatches of them all. What we discovered was how much we love them on the black paper. And I think that that was so much fun. And yeah, like the different colors on the stuff. So this one here is actually gold. It is called Gold Luxe, and on the black, like you can see how it kind of has like quite the sheen, quite the shimmer. And this one with the pink, oh, it is gorgeous. To my eyes right now, I would say it looks almost pinky purple as the swatches, and yet on the screen I'm seeing very bluish tones, so that's kind of funny. But you can have a look and see which drops here look the most uniform and perfect. Definitely the dream drops. What did I get from those vintage drops? Little chocolate chips. Like you can see exactly how much they look like little chocolate chips. They're ridiculous. Hello, Jenny. And then the glitter drops, super nice, turned out really good. Now, the really funny thing is when I look at these glitter drops right now on this black paper, they look like blue. They look blue. You see blue on the camera too, right? Like they look blue to me. I do not have blue. That is these. They are called White Blizzard. And on this black paper, whatever they're picking up, whatever is in the little glittery stuff, they totally look blue to me. So I think that was really funny. And then of course, these were the diamond stickles. And we just wanted to see, like, I literally could not make a drop, like a little enamel dot kind of effect with them. But you know, the swatching of it was pretty with the stickles. But if you wanted a drop effect, stickles were just not going to be the same thing. So I wanted to compare that. Danelle says, wow, those are even prettier now than when now that they're dried. Yeah, so these are gorgeous. I have to say the Dream Drops definitely gave me the easiest, best effect for getting that perfect dot of look. When I touch these though, they do not feel as solid as some of the other ones. Maybe because these ones got a little bit bigger. They were quite nice to like squirt out of those little things. But they don't quite feel as solid. I think that I would like to see if they feel more solid tomorrow after like that 48 hours. Yeah, so some of the on the screen, I see green. Suddenly near one of the drops looks blue. Yeah, and this one here does kind of have a hint of almost, it looks almost like a green depending on the light that it catches. And I think it really depends on the black paper that you're using. I'm pretty sure that this one is Stampin' Up! Black paper because I really like the quality of their black paper. So I'm pretty sure that that's what this paper is. So yeah, so that was interesting. Here, let's have a quick look at the white paper on the white, because often that's what we think first of is using these on white things. And you can see that some of my drops are really not necessarily the prettiest in the crystal, but the effects of them are really pretty. And some of the smears, now that they've dried, you can really see how the color in like this blue one and the pinkish one, the blue was called, it's a gloss, it's a Crystal Drops gloss, it's called Caribbean Ocean, and the pink one is Crystal Drops Red Berry, and they kind of almost have like a, oh, and this one's a gloss as well, the Red Berry is a gloss, and they have almost like a clearness to them, like where you can see through them but still have that color. And then these ones are more pearlescent. The first one that I used was called Bright Gold, and then the Pale Gold. I kept wanting to say light gold. And then this last one is the Oyster Gray, and they call that one a gloss as well. And so that one doesn't have as much of the pearlescent. I'd say it does still have some though. And then in the Dream Drops, look at how nice those drops look. They look really good. And you can see how pretty they are even on the white. My vintage drops, the first one kind of has that chocolate chip effect, and then the rest are just like little gummy messes. So overall, not impressed. Maybe you really have to warm them a bit. And I did not do that yesterday. So this was just literally like, let's try it and test it out. Yeah, like a water paint feel to some of them. Yeah, where you can kind of like see through, but you still get some of that color. Amy says, I need more colors of drops. I only have a couple. And Jill, she says she uses stickles to color images with, which fabulous. I do like the effect of this heritage one with the when I smeared it, and you can see that it's way less shiny than the other ones, right? You can see that it's way less shiny. It does still have a little bit of sheen to it, but it did say that it would be fully matte after 48 hours. So we'll check it in tomorrow. And then these Dream the glitter drops, that was with that White Blizzard, on the white, you don't get any of that blue. So that's definitely coming from the paper, right? That's the same thing right here and here is definitely coming from the paper, the color. So I think depending on the undertones of your black paper, you could get different effects too. Tapping the paper from the underside, says Jill, will help get rid of the chocolate chip peaks. And Joy says diamond is my favorite stickles color, and she has bunches of them. Let's just say, like, if I was replacing stickles, which I have had to do very little of, that's the color, which is why I went and picked that one to kind of compare it with this, because the two side by side look a little similar. You can see the chunks more, the glitter more in the stickles than you can in here. This is like a finer glitter, but it kind of has that holographic kind of glitter effect to them. So that's why I kind of chose those to kind of compare. But this was really fun. Thanks for sticking with me as I struggled with this stinking little bottle. That little bottle was a nightmare, but here's what happened, and I'd like to explain it because I did figure it out once the camera stopped rolling and I finally said I just need to move on. I took the little topper out, so I took this and then I peeled that topper out. You can just like bend them and they pop out. If you see here, you can see how it's already starting to bend out. You pulled it out, and what was happening is because I pushed my pin in from the top, the little solid pieces that had dried inside here were not removed from the situation. They were not removed from the problem. Instead, they were reclogging it and reclogging it. There was two little hard pieces of this stuff, and it kept reclogging the thing. So that's what was happening. And now that I know that clearing it out from the other side made all the difference. So that's what I did after I got off camera yesterday, and now we're friends again. So that's kind of the recap on the dots so far. I will say that these ones here still feel not tacky. They feel like they could be squashy. And I would say that I did have some drops before that I had used, and then I'd put something else on top of them that had a little bit of weight, and they kind of became flat drops. Instead of little bubble drops, they became kind of flattened drops. It happened. I was like, whatever, they're still cute. But I don't think that these ones, these crystal ones, are going to do that. They don't have that same feel like they could do that, whereas these ones still feel like they could potentially flatten if I push on them a lot. So I'm going to give those another 24 hours and we can check in. Bouncy. Yeah. yeah, bouncy. They kind of feel like they could be bouncy. Like they feel pretty solid, but like there could be a little give there. Okay, so that's recap on the dots. And yesterday I mentioned that with these fabulous dream drops, these ones so far are my very fave. They're called Love Potion, and they make beautiful little dots, and they make a pretty little effect when you smear them. That's this one right here. Super pretty, that I had tried using them with a stencil. So let's take a look at that effect right here. And I've got it upside down. So I used a stencil that has little bunnies on it. It has little tiny little bunnies, and so cute. And I wanted to use that soft kind of, you know, this opalescent kind of pink on that because I thought that'll be adorable. And I smeared it around on the template with, yes, my little Cricut spatula. Use that thing for everything. What I found was that when I used it, that stuff did stick to the template afterwards. It was a little hard to clean off. I got most of it off and I can live with it. But if you like perfectly clean templates and you like to clean them off so that they are pristine again, maybe don't use your Nuvo drops. You might be a little unhappy with that. And you'll see, like, I could have taped it down better, and there were some areas that just didn't cover as well as I could. And if it's spread out of the template a little bit, they're not a little perfect. And they do have some have a little more texture. Getting that nice even coat was somewhat challenging with this stuff. So was it perfect? No. And then afterwards I did go in and I inked it because I just felt like I didn't have enough pop. You couldn't see the bunnies good enough. Like they were just too pale on the white paper. I'm almost curious now, like at how cute they could have been if I had done that on the, like on a black paper. It could have been extra pretty. But yeah, it was kind of cute. I'm excited. I'm going to turn this into an Easter page. So I've got a lot of projects. Once I get my work done, and I'm so close to getting my work done. Once I have my work done, I can actually get this done. And yeah, so that is kind of the recap of the drops. Yeah, nice effect. Did you chalk the corners of the paper first? Like, no. Oh no, I actually used ink to blend, like with a brush or something, kind of like one of these blender brushes, I think, to blend around here. I might have used a foam one. I don't remember if I used this one or the foam one, but it was like, I think my Spun Sugar Distress Oxide color. I think that's the color that I used on here, was that little light one. Hello, Diane. So I'm pretty sure that's what that was. But I thought that was really fun, actually, and I really had a good time trying it. I'm glad I tried it because I was a little worried that I was going to like use up this whole bottle, and as you can see, I did not. I used a tiny little bit to add those little those little bunnies there. Like you can see, it's like down to right here. Like it's not a big thing here. It's right here. So I barely used any to kind of do that, so it wasn't like this huge sacrifice. If I actually used a bottle of it, I deserve to buy another one, honestly. Anybody want to say yes to that? If you use up a product, you deserve to buy more. So that's generally how I feel about it. Okay, let's dig into our Distress Crayons. If you have never played with these are Tim Holtz Ranger Distress Crayons. They are water reactive pigments. So normally when I play with them, I use a mat because of the way that they work. And I've got just a little thing with some water here. I don't know that I have a piece of paper towel here, so we'll see. We'll see if we need some. We'll see if we need some. Okay, and I've got some pieces of paper cut. Now I'm going to show you this live, and I did some of these effects yesterday as I was like testing. I'm like, what else can I do with these? And I don't know everything. Okay, Jill. Okay, we got to address that before we dig into this. Let's address that first. Jill says, after the mousse lesson yesterday, it's better to use it instead of letting it dry up. Yes. So I thought, let's see if I can salvage this mousse. So I used my little spray bottle and I sprayed into the Nouveau mousse thinking maybe it'll soften up if I leave it till tomorrow. And then I'm like, well, maybe if I kind of like break it up a little bit, then it will, I'll be able to use it again. Maybe it'll get re-softened, like reconstitute it kind of thing, right? With some water. And then I thought, well, okay, let's just keep breaking it up. And eventually, because that seemed like the best idea at the time, I used my little stabby stabber, you know, like my paper piercer. And my, so I'm poking it and breaking it apart, and all of a sudden it goes, and I broke through the plastic jar. I poked a hole in the bottom of the plastic jar. So that happened. And so then this water that I poured into there, that starts seeping out of there, and I'm getting this little growing puddle on my desk that has a little bit of color because it did pick up a little bit of that mousse stuff. And I'm just looking at this like, okay, so that's real. So now you have chunks of dried up mousse that were wet with water and leaking all over my desk. So I'm just like, no, this is just the end of this. This is the end. That's just going in the garbage. Clean this up. Get that done. And I'm telling you, this is like real life crafting, scrapbooking, getting crafty and creative. I don't want you to look at the stuff I do when I have really good outcomes and think, oh geez, she's just really good at this. How come I don't get that same effect? Or how come this sucks for me? Or why is this so hard? This is real life. I would rather show you that my Nouveau thing blocks up with stuff, and that, you know, sometimes I have dried out products, and that sometimes I go and stab holes in things, than to have you sit at home thinking, oh, other people can do that so much better than I can, and for whatever reason, it's hard for me. Sandy says, I see I missed a lot of fun yesterday. Yes. So go back to April 14th and catch the replay because it was getting real. But I think that I'd much rather be real and say, like, these are the real problems that people have, but it's worth sticking it out. Just because I had a dried out Nouveau mousse doesn't mean that I won't have another Nouveau mousse, because super fun. I bought it for a reason and I used some of it, and I look at that as a win. And yeah, it's not the first thing that has dried out on me. Like, the one time I had this giant bottle of the Liquitex flexible modeling paste. I love this stuff. It is so thick. It is so amazing to work with, and you can create like stuff on your pages. I will, when we play with templates, because that was the thing yesterday. Stencils were a suggestion of things that we want to do. So when we play with templates, I will pull out my modeling paste and I'll show you the stuff that I like to play with. It is like, it's cool. Anyways, so that was kind of hilarious. Okay, so let's play with these Distress crayons. So the first thing you need to know, if it's water reactive, that a water reactive means that it does cool stuff with water. So it's not going to resist the water. It's going to react and play with that water. So let's bang that around a little bit. Jill says, when things work perfect, just check it off as a win and the rest will work through. Exactly. So because I'd liked it and I'd had a little jar that I had used up, I bought myself a big vat of this stuff. And I don't know, it was like $40 or more, like probably more. And I'd use some of it and I was like, yay, this stuff is so fun. And then I go back to it. I dried up this gigantic, expensive jar of modeling paste. I was so choked with myself. I'm like, why didn't I seal that better? Sandy said, I did that too, Alice. I totally dried up that Liquitex modeling paste. So it happens. It happens. It really does. Okay, so for today, I am using my Creative Scrapbooker super stock paper. Like, this stuff is like super thick. It's not very big because I've cut it. So I'm like, usually I like try to bend it on the, can you hear? You can kind of hear. You hear that? It's like super thick paper. I can't even remember what they say that the weight of it is, but it's intense. And they make it so that you can do crafty things. If you want other crafty paper that is good for stuff like this too, Vicki Booten has a really good paper that I have personally not used, but I would trust her because she makes great stuff, and I would use that. So I did make some samples yesterday. I'll show you the effects that I got with the other paper that I used, which was not super good paper, and they're not horrible. So if you don't have this, you can play. Okay, so first off, what are the crayons like? They kind of have the feeling of a cross between a wax crayon and an oil pastel from way back when I was in elementary school and they had us play with oil pastel. They kind of have that kind of feeling to them. And like these ones are in a little twisty thing so you can twist them up as you use them. Yeah, it's super good paper. So I'm just going to scribble some of it on here. And you can see that it's quite thick. And then you can see that as soon as you add a little bit of water to it, do you see how it just soaked up and mixed all of it up? So I instantly have stuff that I can like swatch with my color, you know, so I can do some of that on here. Pretty. And you know, colors are always better when you work them together, right? So a little bit of this aqua peacock feathers is called, and a little bit of this other blue, and this one is Mermaid Lagoon. These all obviously came in a kit because I have a fabulous little thing for them, and I'm gonna just kind of blend this on here, blend this one, and depending on how much water you use, depends on how much color you get, but just using them straight like a watercolor source. And you can see I'm like really picky about coloring them because that's like the part that I'm not really worried about, right? Okay, so cute little background. It's very soft, it's very pastel-y, and I think it'll make a really cute card base. I can put anything on top of that. Get to focus. I can put anything on top of that and it'll be pretty. So let's compare that to the one that I did on other paper. Very similar effect. This one needs to dry, obviously, but it'll very much look like this one. So right there, that was pretty easy. That is like anybody can do that easy. And you're like, I don't have one of those mats, Alice. Doesn't matter. Like, honestly, I have just scribbled it on my countertop before. You can't see that I did that off camera. I just have scribbled it on my countertop before, and then totally just did it right off my countertop because it's not actually going to color on my countertop and stay there. But if you're like, oh my god, that would stress me out, don't do that. But that doesn't stress me out because it doesn't stay, and I can just wipe that off afterwards. So that's like step number one, super easy kind of thing that you can do with it. Step number two, we have learned about this lovely thing called the packaging technique, and everybody's like, woohoo, let's do the packaging technique. I need a package of something here. Okay, so I'm going to take this package and I'm going to pull the stuff out of it. And I'm going to use the packaging for my packaging technique. So I'm going to do a little more color on my craft mat here. And a little more of this one. And a little more of this one. Okay, and I'm just gonna blend these so that they are completely now just paint. And then I'm going to use my packaging to transfer this color onto the stuff. So, would you consider gelatos better or these better? I'll tell you what we'll do. And, oh, there. There we go. I'm like, I only have one gelato, but I will get it. And then we can kind of compare so that you can kind of see the same thing. So I have a gelato double scoop. This is a very yellowy one, but we'll play with that one too in a sec. Okay, so I'm going to just take my packaging and I'm going to use it to kind of dip my color and apply it to my paper. And you can kind of see where the color is going and where you want to add a little more, and it will move around on your paper, on your stuff that you're doing, and you can kind of just convince it to kind of go in some different places. It will also kind of have a little bit of a mind of its own, so it's not like you're in 100% control, but you can see how, like, I was able to kind of keep the different areas, and I just did that like so quick, but like it's cute. It's cute. Perfect little background for something. Why wouldn't you put the crayon directly on the packaging? I probably could. I can do that again. I could put it directly on the packaging. The great thing about not putting it directly on the packaging is that it allows me to go back and pick up more color so that I can put more color in different places. So that would be the only thing that I would see is the benefit. So I had done one like that yesterday with other paper. This one is dry, but you can see like the different effects, and depending on how you hold your packaging, you get different effects. So, you know, the more you bend it, you can get more lines with it. Depending on what you use to kind of smoosh, you can even kind of like direct it with your thumb in the packaging a little bit. And like say, I want some right there. I need a little more color right there. So yeah, and like super pretty effect, right? And you saw how easy that was. And like, I am not the queen of like doing this perfectly. So that is super fun and super easy. So I'm going to just set this one aside so that can dry. And like, I'm going to turn all of these into cards. Like none of this is wasted. So we have here on my desk a little smooshy mess, but almost not enough. So that was packaging, and you saw easy. So now there's like all this color still on my desk, and it's like there's a little bit of leftover stuff here. So guess what I can do? I can take my paper and I can like apply my paper straight to the desk, and you'll notice that I'm not putting the whole thing down. I totally could, but I kind of want to see if I can recreate that packaging effect by just doing this on the thing. So that's me picking up the last part of the color that was on my work surface here. So, and I think that is super cute too. So this is like different amounts of color on the two of them, but super easy, both of them. And now my surface is clean, right? Like I'm not picking up, I've got like a little tiny bit of green on there, but it's not a big amount. So I have a pretty clean surface to start again and work with. Now we're gonna do one of my favorite. This one is like so my favorite. So that is like really fun. So we're gonna do the bubble wrap with this next. And oh yeah, that was my leftover one from that same technique, like the leftover stuff that's on the mat. And okay, so now we're gonna take the little the the packaging. So with the bubble wrap, I want to actually create like a bubbly background. So let's play with that idea. So I'm going to do like a kind of larger surface now because I want to create enough that's going to cover my whole card face kind of at once. And like I can blend the colors kind of together by crossing them over right here on my background. Like it's not like I have to make them all totally separate, right? Is that kind of card-ish sized? Card, yeah. So now I'm gonna add my color. And I'm kind of starting at the top with my lighter kind of color and blending down into the other colors, right? And I'm just making sure that all of my little pencil lines kind of get blended. So once those are all picked up and blended, I'm going to take this, and if it's not wet enough, I could always just spray it a little bit more with my sprayer that's not spraying. And so now that it's like a mess, like think of how pretty right there, sticking this down, psh, super pretty. That would be beautiful all by itself. Okay, but I'm gonna take this and pick up the color on my bubble wrap, and I don't know if that was enough actually. I'm gonna like mash it in there a little bit. And now I'm gonna just put this down onto my bubble wrap. You can see that, just make sure I got you on camera for that. And then I'm just pushing it down. So the back side is getting messy from my fingers from the edges here, but it's not a big deal. This is gonna be the back. And look how pretty! Look how pretty that is. Oh my gosh. And like there'll be like little gappy spots in it because it's bubble wrap. It's not perfect. But the idea isn't to make perfect with this. Like, does that look like magic to you? Because that looked like magic to me. When I turn that over, it's like, oh, so pretty. And like, I could probably go back with my bubble wrap to this again a couple of times in this spot and create more of them. So this was the one that I created yesterday. This is the one today. I think this one might turn out a little bit brighter. I think maybe I got a little more color in the water. Very beautiful, nice. I love this. I love that look. And like such an easy background, but it gives you a chance to kind of play with your stuff and customize it. This look is so mixed media. I know. And super easy. Okay, do I have, oh, I don't have another little piece trimmed here. Let me grab another little piece to trim this really quick. So I talked the one day about my card front sizes. I basically do my cards quarter fold, but then they're down a 1/4 inch from a quarter fold so that I can have like the card can be a background and then this kind of pops up off of it. I know the bubble wrap is so fun. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside and hopefully I won't put stuff on it and muck everything up. But like literally I could take this and I'm going to put this right on here. I'm just going to do it right now. It looks really pretty and we'll see what kind of effect that gives me. And there's a fair bit of water on there, so I think it will blend and muck around a little bit. Oh, so this little corner here didn't really get a lot. So I'm going to just add a little bit more in that corner. Ooh, that's so pretty. So that's nice. Okay, clean up my space. Oh, perfect. I got some tissues here. Okay, so let's clean up this space a little bit. So that was really fun. Just kind of let those sit on the side there to dry a little bit. But I wanted to show you one more thing. I know, like, there's so many things you can do. You can use the rest on the next card. I know I could totally have used more of that stuff. I'm just for the sake of moving on. And here, like, see, I can like blot this off if I don't want to do another one that's kind of like that right now. And like, you don't have to just stick yourself to 3 crayons. Like this package here, I don't know how much it costs. What do they cost? 20 bucks or something? I'll put a link to them underneath in the description below. Or if you're shopping at your local scrapbook store, definitely do that. They probably have some of these, I'm gonna guess. And then you can also go to bit.ly/scrappyshop. Why am I typing it when I have it right here? So that is my link to go to scrapbook.com. And if you use that link, I get like a little bonus if you do decide to shop for some and you're like, that looks really fun, I need some of that. But yeah, you can like play with your colors, like mix things up a little bit. They sell them in little color families like that generally. Okay, so finally I wanted to do one last technique, and I think that it kind of makes a lot of sense to show this one because we can also use these crayons directly on the like directly on the paper, right? Like that's kind of the first thing you think of when you're like, oh, I've got crayons, I'm gonna color on here. With every video, my wish list gets longer and longer. Is this Janelle? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I see, when I see new things, I'm just like, ooh, let's try that thing. And I think that a lot of times until we actually see how you use it, we kind of like don't. So I think this is fun. Sheila says, I bought the Distress Crayon watercolor kit. It came with 6 crayons, a stamp set, watercolor paper, and a stamp block. And you can see I haven't even used watercolor paper with this. Like, you totally can. All of this stuff would probably work even better with it. But yeah, we got a few long wish lists. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to like color some lines across on this actual paper. Like I'm going to take it straight to the paper and I'm going to put a couple that cross over into other sections so that it's not just one section or the other. Cool. So I'm going to blend those in, throw my little caps back on those, and then I'm going to take my water and I'm going to blend this on here. So you'll notice that as you blend, you don't necessarily get rid of every crayon line, which is either good or bad depending on the look that you kind of want. But all of the crayon lines are not going to be gone. And just blend them. Need a little more water. This one here, I think really looks pretty at the end. You still have some of those solid crayon lines. You can blend out some of it a little bit more. If you're using thinner paper, you will have less time to blend. You will want to use as little water as possible and you'll have less time to blend. But, you know, I think that's a really pretty card background as well. And I've actually done this kind of stuff for scrapbook pages, so it doesn't have to just be for cards. This was the one that I made yesterday with the crappy paper. Am I allowed to say that? With the not very good quality of paper. And, you know, I was still able to get beautiful backgrounds. Now, imagine if I had done some stenciling first and I did maybe some embossing or something first. You know, I used some resist techniques and then I did this over top. So pretty. So there's a lot of things. This is like literally step 1 when you're gonna play with your distress crayons, and we've already created like how many different looks. So that was direct to the paper. We've got direct off of the mat. We've got the, you can't see any of these because I'm putting them in the wrong spot. We got the bubbles. We've got, we got a lot. We got a lot of little samples here of things that you can do. Just like I used a paintbrush with water. You can't see that. I need to be on this other screen. Why don't I do that? And there. So I've used a paintbrush. I've used bubble wrap. I've used packaging. And I used these crayons. Like I haven't used anything extra special other than the fact that I used a slightly better quality paper today. But you can see, even with the other paper, I got the same effects. Like it wasn't like that my paper made this magic happen. So I just thought that that was like a really good place to kind of dive into these things, because sometimes we think that it's going to be hard and that it's going to be difficult, where that's literally easy. Like, April's asking, has anyone tried Dina Wakley's scribble sticks? I bought them and then forgot what to do with them. I have not. Vicky Booten has some art crayons that work just like these though, so I know that hers are like that. I don't know what Dina Wakley's are like, but I want to get some of the Vicky Booten ones because I haven't played with them yet, and I seriously love... Let me turn this off. This is in the way. Sorry, I didn't even see that for a sec. But yeah, you can see how simple it is, and if you need a little more color, you just put in a little more color, and it's just a little crayon. So hopefully that is fun for you, and that you see this and you're like, I could do that. That sounds easy. And it just gives you something fun to play with. Here, let me move that up out of the way there. So that's Distress Crayons. Don't be scared. Don't be overwhelmed. And I think that the great thing about it is that they're not expensive. So you get several colors all in that one package when you get them. And like they have different color families. If this is not your palette that you're like, oh my gosh, those light up my life, then pick a different color palette. And they let you experiment and play without like a huge investment. It's like a little packet of crayons, right? And then water, paintbrush, you know, maybe a sprayer. Like you can get away without the sprayer, right? Like none of the things were hard. I showed you, you could literally do it on your countertop or your tabletop if you have a fancy one. Ooh, Jill says gelatos. So let's do a quick little comparison. I don't have a bunch of gelatos that I can use to compare. So that's sad. Sad face for that. Where's my white paper? Gotta grab another sheet. Okay, so gelatos. Let's play gelatos. This is not the super stock. This is my other stuff, but you know, I literally played on that first the other day, so why not go there right now? And let's bring up the split desk again. So I only have the one gelato, and it's bright yellow. But I'm gonna just rub that on the countertop here. Well, on my actual mat, because I'm not always such a rebel that tries to scribble on her countertop. Didn't mean to yell. Gelatos. No, that was an excited thing. I could tell. I could see the passion. It's like, don't forget, Alice. So just from looking at this, like the blend on this is like super good. I'm seeing like a similar kind of blend. It's picked up all of that color. Ooh, and this is like quite vibrant. It's like a lot brighter than the other one. I think what we'll do is we'll take this other yellow, and like obviously shades can be different and stuff, but I'll do this like little test to see. And like if that's too bright, just more water, right? More water to blend it out to make a softer, kind of subtler yellow if you're looking for less brightness, or pick up more. And if you need a little more color, just a little less water, right? Just use what's on your brush, and then you can make it really quite bright. So I don't know if you can see that, but that was like really quite bright compared to some of the other lines. But you can see, like with thinner paper, I'm starting to soak through right here. So use as little water as you need. Okay, I'm gonna actually use this other yellow and see if I can make it as vibrant as this just did with this gelato. So I'm gonna do that one over here. It looks like it's not quite a bright of yellow to start with. This one's called mustard seed, by the way. So I'm gonna rinse out my brush a little bit. And now it looks like I can get some nice good color with this too. So I'm seeing a lot of similarity in just direct to paper, like in the turning it into watercolor, just like that. In fact, like, I'm not really seeing a big difference in the way the colors blended up like that. I don't have another color to blend it with, but I bet you I could use this to kind of blend with any of my other colors that I have here. So, you know, I've got some orange, and I bet you this will blend just fine kind of with my gelato. So that would be another option, using gelatos. Yeah, so those two just blended perfectly together. Let me use this little scrap of paper here. Using the orange with the gelato. Honestly, the two feel very similar in the texture of them. So there we go. Just seeing them blend right together. Gelato, Distress Crayon. So maybe the gelatos are just fatter Distress Crayons, or these ones are like gelatos on a diet. I don't know. Perhaps there are more specific differences, but yeah, I don't see them. I'm going to just try a little bit where I take the gelato and put it straight on the paper and see if I can get it to blend out the way we did when we went direct, like with this one, right? When I drew directly on this, and I'll see if I can get that to kind of blend out with the gelatos. Yeah, Sandy says, thanks for doing that. I have a bunch of gelatos and I need to use them. So yeah, absolutely. So yeah, this is a little bit thicker. As I draw it on there, I can feel like it's wider. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not thicker, it's wider. And I'm actually seeing a little less of the lines than I did with the other one. Here, let me try another little piece of this paper. So I'm going to draw more lines on here. I'm going to draw the ones at the top up here with the gelato, and then I'm going to draw the ones at the bottom with the Distress Crayon, and we'll see what they compare when they're like direct to paper. Cool. And this is lemon. That's my gelato color, is lemon from Faber-Castell. And so you can see these are different shades of yellow for sure, because this is the mustard seed. And then I'm going to see what I can do. This is not fancy paper, so no, you can still see the lines, like they're still I was wondering if that would like negate the lines if the gelato one was better. So no, I still see the lines in the gelato and I still see the lines in the other one. I will let this dry and kind of see how that effect looks. But yeah, I would say they basically look like a fatter and skinnier version of the same thing. That's kind of my take on that. I'll use some of this yellow to soak it up and try some different effects, but they look like they work almost identically. April says, I've never worked with the Tim Holtz Distress Crayons. I think maybe the gelatos don't reactivate once they dry, but I've not worked with them in a while, so my memory's fuzzy. Yeah, and if you want to like look at like the ultimate technical stuff, sorry, I'm not your gal for that. I am not the best gal for that one. But this is pretty fun to kind of see the comparison of like how they compare. So yeah, really fun. Awesome. No, I'm glad you reminded me, because I was like, yeah, I'll just pull out my one gelato that I have. I got it in a kit, right? And I was like, what do you do with one color? Sometimes one just isn't enough. You need like the blending effect. But obviously I can do pretty fun things with that one color. And now I have other things I know I can blend it with. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that I just consider that one now. I can like maybe keep this with my Distress Crayons so that when I'm looking for options, I have more yellows now to kind of play with together. So yeah, for highlights and different things. It's awesome. Well, thanks so much, guys. Hopefully this made you a little happier at home today. My son had a sleepover at our house for a couple nights, and today he was helping me pack up some stuff for mailing that I needed to do. And I'm like, yes, that made me super happy. So hopefully if you can, convince a kid or somebody to help you do something that you've been putting off for a while, that would be a really great use of, this time that we have together to get something done. Sandy says, I really thought I was going to be into mixed media, but not so much really. I think that playing with mixed media keeps me excited about scrapbooking. So whether I don't actually do it all the time, not all of my scrapbook pages are mixed media by far. I love pattern paper way too much for that. But I think that it keeps me inspired and I try new things. And then when I go back to my other stuff, like it becomes this whole interactive world where using the stuff over here makes me more excited to play over here. And I think that that's really fun. May I ask, what are the couple of items that once bought they do not catch your eye anymore? Maybe for the next video. That's a really good question, actually. Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm actually looking at my I've got a storage container, storage system here that holds pens and stuff. And I'm looking at some pens that I was so excited to get. And once I got them, I'm like, don't really love those. So there's the first thing on that list. But that's a really good thing. It's like, what did you buy and then you never used? It just turned out to not really become your thing. And sometimes it's because you don't really dig into playing with it. Anybody got a fuse tool? I know we've talked about it. It's coming. I will share it. Kathy says, I might do edges of mats for pictures with it. April says, mixed media is imprecise and experimental. It engages a different part of my brain than my typical, very controlled scrapbook page. And I love doing the mixed media stuff on pages. Like those actually become some of my favorite to create and even to look at later. And I think I remember the process so much more than when I'm just cutting papers and doing, the stuff. So the mixed media really gets me to engage in my scrapbooking. Yes, don't worry. We're going there. We're going there with a fuse tool. That will be one of our things. So it's awesome. Yeah, a little bit of scrappy mojo talk. That's awesome. Thank you so much for joining me for this. Seriously, I love it. And hopefully this brings you some inspiration, gets you playing with some stuff. Maybe you're going to pull out that one thing that you got and you're like, oh, what am I ever going to do with that thing? If that inspires you, please, I'd love to hear about it. You can always tag me on Instagram. That's a really good place. If you post a comment on one of my YouTube videos, I read them all. I read them all. I love it. So thank you. If you enjoyed today, give me that coveted thumbs up. I love that too. And I just want to say thank you to you for being here, for being part of this. I love hanging out with our stuff as, not with our stuff. I love hanging out with my stuff. Well, I do. I hang out in the scrapbook room a lot just because I've got all my stuff here. But I love hanging out with people that understand the importance of this. So that's been a lot of fun. Diane says, thanks, Alice. You've made me take my gelatos out and play with them for today. Yay. That's awesome. That is so awesome. So thank you so much. Yeah, enjoy your day. I will be back tomorrow. We're going to do this over again, and I'll have a brand new topic, and we may revisit some things. We'll definitely revisit the final results on these drops. Are they going to be matte chocolate chips, or are they going to be glossy chocolate chips? I guess we'll get our final result tomorrow. Are those dream drops going to squash down flat, or are they going to hold their shape? We'll find out tomorrow. Okay, thanks so much, guys. I look forward to chatting with you some more. Bye.